Friday evening, we are back with another DD Fantasy Football Rookie Mock Show. I got Mitch back with me. I got Brandon back with me. You can find Mitch at Dino MC. And Brandon actually has his X handle up there, DBG-C. I think I nailed that. But Brandon also runs the socials for DD Fantasy. So if you see tweets coming out from Destination Devy or DD Fantasy, it is almost always Brandon behind that handle. But tonight we're going to rip a 4-round Superflex mock with start 11 1.75 tight end premium. It's been a couple weeks since we did a mock, but we figured we'd jump on, do one live. So engage in the comments if you have any opinions. I'm sure you're going to. We did this off of a 7-round mock draft. Before we get started, just this format, we've done this format a few times already before, Mitch. Anything crazy with this format in terms of like game theory, anything you're thinking of trying to exploit? I know you probably play in some leagues that are similar to this, but just any general comments, strategy, advice on the format before we get started?
Not a lot. I mean, this is pretty standard for what a lot of, like any startup we see happening in the Discord. This is kind of the setup we see. Sometimes we see 14 teams. Usually it's start 11 with this kind of premium. I do think it's definitely going to help the 3rd and 4th round tight ends that we see in this mock draft. But besides that, no, I think this is pretty standard as far as it goes. I think it's a lot more standard than a non-premium league is at this point.
Yeah, I think the tight end advantage is getting to the point where you can probably flex the top 12, top 15. But also a lot of times with these, the league values the tight end premium even more than we probably do. So you have to assess that when you're doing the draft. Brandon, this close to the NFL draft, we're less than 2 weeks out. How much are you really focused on trying to build your ADV charts right now? Like the final opinions, there's nothing that's happened in the last month other than some random pro days that should have changed anything. There hasn't been any major trades. There's been some signings and stuff, but there hasn't been anything that's just shaken up this draft. But things are all over the board, way different than we had even a month ago. What does that speak to when it comes to ADV?
I mean, outside of the news that we got today that Derek Carr, might be out for an extended period of time, which kind of fits perfectly into this mock where we'll show where Shadur ended up landing. But I mean, you start to put together kind of this is kind of the home stretch, as you called it. We're making kind of our bets. And we'll see with the three of us and with the chat, like there's going to be picks that we make that people are going to be like, oh, I don't really feel good about that. Or you left this guy out. Or that's kind of where the ADV begins to build, because you can see where somebody in your league may value that person more than you do. And so maybe you take that person, you just have to kind of build accordingly. Like, yeah, Rattler season. Look, it's already happening. Rattler season. I mean, we've got, you just start to build your chart. I mean, you build your chart based on how people respond to a pick, whether that's in a YouTube comment, whether that's in an NFL mock, because I'm sure Monday morning when all the new NFL mocks are going to come out, we're probably going to see the Saints with a quarterback, and people will either love it or hate it.
Yeah, and for me, ADV is really, really built over this last month leading up to the draft, because there's nothing that should change opinions on what you thought of a player mid-March compared to mid-April. But you start seeing, I mean, every content creator out there is doing their top 15 running backs, their top 15 receivers, biggest risers, biggest fallers. And it's the same with some of the veterans that are out there. I mean, how many shows have you seen? All the dozen running backs that are going to get nuked in this draft. Like, that's what people are covering, because there's not really anything breaking to talk about. But that's where you start keeping an eye on, okay, what are the player names that have risen the most in the last month? And is it based on anything concrete other than some big analysts or some big names have picked them up and are just talking about them more? And then vice versa. There's names that are interchangeable with ones that everybody likes that nobody talks about. We'll probably get to some of those in this mock tonight. Let's just give a shout out to the 7-round mock we are going to be mocking off of. This is Brian Bosarge of Draft Countdown. This was released April 6th, so it's still pretty relevant, only a couple days old. But it's a 7-round full mock, and I'm going to get to the picks in the first 4 rounds so everybody can see them. So we'll start with round 1. We do not have Travis Hunter on here. As you can see, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty 6 to the Raiders. You can see what's on the graphic. I don't need to read them all, but Travis Hunter went 3 to the Giants, Brandon. I'm going to kick it to you. You are a Giants fan. Opinions. I know we'll draft him. We can talk about him when he comes off the board, but initial impressions. He goes to the Giants. How's he being used? That's what people want to know.
I mean, they're probably going to play him both ways. The nice thing is they don't have to play him at wide receiver 1. They already have that in Malik Neighbors, and they don't have to play him as the primary corner because they just signed Paulson Adebo. So he can probably be used. I mean, would you be happy, Mitch, if he's used 70% on offense?
I think that would be fantastic. It's just one of those things with him, man. Like, I love the guy. I think he's going to be awesome, but now he goes to the Giants, to where a team we don't love the quarterback play as it is now. Malik Neighbors, we know that's the guy there. And so, sure, Hunter goes in. Even if he gets 70% of snaps, is that even enough to be wide receiver 4 in fantasy?
I mean,
probably not overall, right?
I mean, here's the other thing too, right? You still have Darius Slayton, who they just re-signed to a 3-year deal, and you still have Wandale Robinson, who is still really liked by this coaching staff. So, I mean, again, it's one of those situations where it's probably murky for fantasy, but for NFL, we love it.
I think there's only 2 spots for him. You guys agree? Barring a trade into 2 or 3, it's either the Browns or the Giants. I think the fantasy community has already kind of analyzed those 2 landing spots as, if it's the Browns, you can argue that he's going to have Joe Flacco now, which is great for feeding a receiver, right? And you can argue he's probably the number 1 target. Now, there's other good targets. Jerry Jeudy's good. David Njoku's good. Like, it's not like he comes into a nothing receiver room. But then you add to the fact that the Browns have said they view him as a receiver. So I think there's not the crazy range of outcomes that we've talked about with Hunter. It's either Giants is going to be a little lukewarm. Browns is going to be the one where people go, okay, how high do I take him? Do I take him 104, 105, 106? Like, that's where the debate's going to probably be. I said the 107, 108 range the other night is where I'm comfortable basically taking the chance that he's the receiver more than, I don't want to say full-time, because I do think he's going to try to play both ways. But what pick are you comfortable just pissing away if you're wrong? What's that line? And you probably got to know your league market, but that's probably where he settles out if he goes to the Browns. If it's the Giants, Brandon, I think it's going to be much more polarizing than we're talking about. People are going to talk themselves into, man, this is risky. Can I trade this pick away before I draft Travis Hunter? But let's not talk about it. We're going to analyze it when we pick him on the board. Here's round 2. More picks in round 2. Some highlights, a couple quarterbacks going at the top. Definitely some running backs. The running backs everybody expects went in here. There's one on here. We'll get to it. Pick 52. People do not like seeing that Ted McMillan falling all the way outside the top 50. But basically, he replaces DK Metcalf 1-for-1 with the pick that was traded away for DK. Tet goes there at pick 52 to Seattle. That's round 2. Round 3, not as many skill players, but definitely some tight ends that could be interesting in this format in here. Not as many running backs as people want to see. I don't know about you, Mitch, but I listen to some of these pods, and I would swear there's 15 running backs going day 2. And the average historically is 6 that go in the top 3 rounds. And this mock had, I believe, 7. So this is much more in line with what is typical. Maybe this year's class is so good that the NFL takes 8 or 9, max 10. But like, most likely your favorite running back sleeper, Mitch, is not going on day 2. So you're going to have to be able to reconcile what is round 4 capital versus round 5 or 6 capital. Any early thoughts on that? Do you think we're kind of oversteaming some of these names? Just everybody's excited and they have 15 different RBs going in the first 3 rounds.
100%, because even as much as I like some of these running backs, they're just in a pile and you just pick out a name. And I believe a lot of NFL teams are going to look at that way. So they're going to be like, hey, in the 3rd round, do I really need to draft this guy, or can I get my backup defensive tackle? And then in the 5th round, go pick up someone who we believe is just as good. I think there's a lot higher likelihood of that happening in the NFL, even though it's not fun to talk about for fantasy. But I think the likelihood is so much higher that we do end up seeing 8, backs go in the first 3 rounds. And then we just see a few more in the 4th round, but then all of a sudden the 5th and 6th, we see, 8 leave in those 2 rounds. That makes a lot more sense to me than seeing 12 go, by pick 100 or whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that this is such a good running back class, but then argue that the NFL is going to draft a lot of them higher. If anything, if it's so good, they may let them fall a little bit going, man, the difference between the guy I can get in round 3 and round 5 is not that different this year because it's such a strong class compared to what it was in years past. Here's round 4. Some names that you would recognize. There's a couple exciting running back names in there. A bunch of the dead zone receivers, as I call them, Brandon, where you don't want to take these guys unless you have a plan. We did a whole Mannequin Chill show on that the other night, and there's a war episode that I'll be posting coming out next Monday talking about wide receivers in that quote-unquote dead zone. So let's get to the mock. I did want to say this because I didn't mention it at the beginning of the stream. That we are going to be doing a lot of wall-to-wall live content around the draft. We will be doing some pre-shows on this channel, along with the live coverage. First 2 days of the NFL draft on Ray's channel, on Ray Garvin NFL. And then more live coverage the next day on day 3 will be on DDFFB, along with a lot of content in between. And I believe we're going to also be doing a live Dynasty Theory, right, Mitch? At some point?
Yeah, it's on Sunday, I believe.
Okay, yeah, we'll release a schedule so everybody can see, but we're going to be doing live Dynasty Theory, live Mannequin Chill, live streaming for all 3 days of the draft, along with content in between. We'll probably try to drop a mock, react to some landing spots, and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. It's going to be wall-to-wall coverage all the way leading up until Sunday night, where Ray and I will do a 3-hour stream talking about every single player that was drafted. And I didn't mention Destination Chill is coming back this Sunday night to kind of kick off the season. So let's get to the mock. We're going to go in the order that we see on the screen here. So myself, Brandon, and Mitch, again, is a 12-team Superflex start 11, 1.75 tight end premium. So let me get this fired up here. And we are off. I should have taken the, you know what? Let's switch them around. Brandon, I'm going to give you the first pick because I already for some reason claimed the second spot. So I'm going to switch them around. I'm going to give you the first pick. Go ahead, my friend.
I'm going to take Ashton Genty. Good landing spot to the Las Vegas Raiders, along with Pete Carroll. Wants to run the ball. They've signed Geno Smith, so it really doesn't seem like it's a spot where we could consider quarterback. The offense is in really good shape. I mean, I could see this being an opportunity where, Scott, if Genty lands, and I don't want to belabor this too much, but like if Genty lands in Vegas, is he a top 10 dynasty running back right off the rip?
He's a top 3 dynasty running back off the rip.
Top 3.
He's already ahead of everybody not named probably Gibbs and Bijan. Assuming he goes, he went 106 in this draft to the Raiders, but I don't even think it matters. I think if he goes to a spot, he's going to go in the top 15. Anywhere he goes, the only landing spot I think that could make people wonder is probably that Jets spot where some people put him, but you have to figure that comes along with a Breece Hall trade. You know what I mean? I can't imagine they don't do that and you're dealing with Breece versus Genty. So I don't think that happens. I think you could argue if he goes to one of these spots that people talk themselves into, he's better than Gibbs because that's all they have. You know what I mean? I can see it. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, I think that's completely fair.
Yeah, nothing more needs to be said. He's been the 101 in every mock. That's not changing. I'm up at the 102. So there's obviously the safety pick of Cam Ward, who went 101 in this to the Titans. We have a couple other players that I'd probably consider, but I'm not going to really belabor the point. I think this is one of the dream running back landing spots, maybe even more valuable than the Genty spot. And it's Amari and Hampton going to pick 20 to the Broncos in the first round. He's a first-round back. Goes to, honestly, I would say the best landing spot for the way the running backs were used and just as little a competition as what the Raiders have. So Amari and Hampton goes 102. He went pick 20 to the Broncos in the first. So Mitch, you are up at 103.
I've done a few actual rookie drafts in leagues now. I've had a startup with rookies included. So I am going to draft this like I'm actually drafting for a team, right? To where I'm going to pick the best player. It's, this isn't hypothetical. Oh, everyone else should pick this player. I'm going Shedeur Sanders at 103. I think Shedeur Sanders is the better quarterback. I like his landing spot with the Saints more. And what's going on with Carr, it was always kind of a little weird situation there. But and another big reason why is the tight ends didn't get really good landing spots, right? So I would love to take one here. I've never been a huge Cam Ward guy, so for me, I'm going to go with the best quarterback in this class, in my opinion.
Ooh, Shedeur Sanders to the Saints, pick 9, mocked before the Derek Carr news, but I don't know. Reading between the lines with those Nick Underhill tweets, Brandon, it sounds like it's over with Carr, right? Like Sanders would start day 1. You believe that if they took him this high?
I mean, he's going to definitely be in the conversation. Let's just say that. Like, Nick Underhill doesn't lie. He usually has really deep, well-connected sources. So for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, go on X and go follow Nick_Underhill. He's a beat reporter for the Saints. And he's kind of had some undertones of the changing of the guard is happening. And Kellen Moore is probably going to have his choice of quarterback. And if it's Shedeur Sanders, he's going to use him and scheme him correctly. So I have full confidence that Kellen can do that.
Yeah, he went 9 to the Saints. Brandon, you were up at 104. I'm curious what you're going to do, but it's probably a gift to get Cam Ward outside of the first quarterback. Is that where you're going?
That's where I'm going. Cam Ward. I think I've been consistent on almost every mock taking Cam Ward as my first pick. I think it's 1A, 1B when it comes to these two quarterbacks. They're both really, they're good. Like, I know that the fantasy community doesn't really always see that. But I think Shedeur and Cam are good. And if I am in the pick 4, I'm probably trying to, at some point, establish either a QB2 or a QB1 for this team. And Cam Ward is safe enough where even if the Tennessee, I don't necessarily love what happens in year 1 with Tennessee, they probably would move on for Brian Callahan, and he still is going to retain value. Now, if you don't want to take Cam Ward because you don't believe in any of these quarterbacks, we just did a whole trade show inside of the Patreon, patreon.com/allgas. Our guy Ty led a whole trade show. We went through a litany of guys that you could trade for the 102 to the 104. So even if you don't like this pick, there are plenty of quarterbacks that you could trade to.
Yeah, it's funny that I did the quarterback war episode a couple weeks ago, and I kind of mapped out that if you're drafting the quarterbacks this high with a rookie pick, they're the exact opposite expectation of what we preach this class is, right? Like, none of these guys in this class have this elite upside at QB, yet we took them pretty high in this mock. Not that your pick or Mitch's pick was too high, because I think if you need a quarterback, and you're sitting in one of these spots, you just have to take them. But I think there's a lot of people out there right now in drafts that are sitting there going, I need a quarterback, but I may not have to take one until 106, 107, 108. Like, they think they're getting Shedeur later in the first, and they can maybe even trade back if they want to. But yet, in this case, both first-round quarterbacks are off the board, and they're gone in the top 4 picks. And typically, if you're just looking at expected WAR, there's some other positions that typically are probably a little bit better bets. Like, the quarterbacks that are later that fall are typically better bets than spending a high pick like you guys did. But I get it. Those are the only 2 in this mock. So I'm up 105. There's a couple tough decisions here, honestly. We have 3 running backs that all landed in good spots. Travion Henderson went to the Bears at pick 39. Caleb Johnson to Dallas, pick 44, so high second-round capital for both. But then Quinshon Judkins went to the Commanders at the late second or the end of the second. But for a lot of people, he's their RB3, so it's like, okay, he went to a good spot as well. So which one of those do I go, or do I jump into the fray and take a first-round receiver because there's not many options here? I'm going to lean Travion Henderson. There's going to be, if he goes early second to the Bears, the ADV is going to be through the roof, right? It's the Jahmyr Gibbs role in a Ben Johnson offense. You can't pass that up for a lot of people's RB3. So it's Travion Henderson to the Bears, pick 39. Mitch, it's to you. Did I snipe you as a Lions fan? Were you thinking the same thing?
No.
Okay.
I'm going Caleb here. I mean, I would have gone Caleb no matter what. Like, if I was at pick 5 where you were, I would have went Caleb there. Him going to the Cowboys, and I think a lot of it's going to be the market sentiment too. While people are going to be really hyped up with that Bears landing spot for Henderson, I think everybody knowing that Dallas has nothing behind Caleb Johnson, and we know how they've used that rookie running back before when Zeke went in, and they will use him for 350 touches if possible. So for that reason, I'm all about it. I mean, I love Henderson's spot too, but there is a little bit of more competition there to where he might not get the full workload right off the bat. Caleb Johnson could catch 70 balls for the Cowboys. I know that wasn't his game at Iowa, but there's really no one else good to throw to there.
Yeah, I think it's probably 3A and 3B, right? Like they both got high second round capital. They both got landing spots that people are going to like. Neither of them are going to be seen as having too much of a barrier in the way. So I don't hate it. You feel real good if you didn't want a quarterback and you're sitting in one of these spots and you're going, damn, I got one of these guys at 106 while that fool up there at 103 or took Shador Sanders. You're going, I got the better player, I got the better pick, and I got it three picks later. So 107, Brandon, you are up, my friend.
I'm looking. I got two guys that I'm eyeballing here.
Talk through it.
Looking at Travis Hunter, it's very appealing. It's very appealing. Even though he goes to the Giants at 3, and we kind of discussed, is that the spot that we really want to go to? But I think I'm gonna land here by taking somebody who I think is going to cause a little bit. I'm going to take Colston Loveland here at 107.
I know the landing. That just threw this mock out.
I know that the landing spot is gross, right? Nobody wants that Colston Loveland with Anthony Richardson. Nobody wants it. But I'm going to, I prefer, I've warmed up Mitch. I think I'm getting more and more comfortable with the Loveland over Tyler Warren. I think I'm getting there.
It took a little while, but you're there now. That's good.
Not that it's anything like, not that we're splitting hairs, right? They're both top 15 picks. They're both in good, they're both going to be pretty solid here. And 175 premium, I have to start to consider them. I'm basically betting that Daniel Jones is going to eventually be the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts at some point in this season. I know I'm a Giants fan, so I'm like,
you're a Giants fan that just cannot quit chasing.
Why are you betting on this guy? But I trust that Shane Steichen is going to utilize Colston Loveland in some way, and the talent is going to outweigh the situation.
Man,
that's the bet.
I get it. I've just spent the entire draft season shitting on any Colt tight end. Man, you took one higher than like 4 other players I would have drafted before I took him. But hey, you know what? Some people chase the tight end in the 175. I can respect you are making a big bet. If you think he's the tight end 1, if you think he's the tight end that has the highest ceiling, you shouldn't let that landing spot that could be bad for 6 games. You know what I mean? It's a bet against Richardson, right? You want Richardson to fail and be out of the way, whether it's Daniel Jones or whether it's somebody else for the rest of Loveland's career. So maybe if you have 0 exposure to Anthony Richardson, 0, like you've gotten completely out, maybe the Colts tight end is a good bet for you because it doubles down on the bet you've already made with Richardson.
Well, and I would even say this. What has Ray said that Anthony Richardson needs? He needs a check down. He needs a check down option. Now, whether or not he hits them, that's a whole nother story, but he needs one. And that's what Colston Loveland could provide in the offense. So
that's the real football. That's the real football side, I think, talking. Like the math on Anthony Richardson, he cannot feed a tight end 1, especially with 2 other receivers that historically have commanded at least 20% of the target share. Now, they're going to be bad quality targets, but they're not just going to not get the ball. So the math just does not add up for a tight end coming in with Richardson. Now, if it's Jones, if it's a different quarterback, could be a completely different offense. I agree with that. But early on, I just don't think you're going to get the pop with a tight end that goes to the Colts, whether it's Warren or whether it's Loveland. Mitch, do you agree? Just real quick. I know you were you're big on Loveland, but I can't do this one.
No, my thing is, if let's say Anthony Richardson comes out of this offseason, actually hits, he does everything the Colts want. He's the starter for 17 games. I don't think that helps Loveland at all.
No,
they're going to be a better team, but it doesn't help him. And I do agree, if Daniel Jones gets in there, that'll help boost Loveland. But I don't know if it's going to boost him enough to draft him here. I mean, it's tough because I feel the exact same way about Tyler Warren, though. Like, well, going to the Jets, I don't love it. Like, I flat out don't like it at all. We know that there's going to be a run-heavy team without a doubt. And Justin Fields, I feel about the same. He's slightly better than Anthony Richardson, which is good. He's an NFL caliber starter is about the best thing you could say about Justin Fields. These tight ends, like, I'm just going to end up letting them slip.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see where Warren ends up going. I mean, he went 7th to the Jets, but I'm not going to take him here at the 108. I do have a little bit of a debate here. I just released I'm going to be releasing the War Series about receivers. Like, this is the spot, this 108 to 112 range, to take receivers that get good capital if you're just trying to hit a double. And I think that's what this pick would be if I took a Emeka Egbuka, who went in the first round to the Rams. The downside is obviously people are going to say, oh man, there's Devontae Adams and Puka already there. He's not going to smash out the gates. So I think there's some question marks there, whether you want to take him or if you want to go with a running back. I think I'm going to go with the running back. I think I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins, who went in the 2nd to the Commanders, but it's literally a 1-for-1 tiebreak. I could go Egbuka to the Rams in the 1st or Judkins to the Commanders in the 2nd, but I'm going to lean running back and see what happens with the rest of this class, because there are some receivers that I'm going to probably be interested in taking. Could have gone Hunter. Be interesting where he goes as well, but the pick is going to be Judkins, who went to the Commanders. Probably, I'd say, one of the top 5 or 6 landing spots in the league, and an offense people like, a team that people want to add more weapons, and a running back that people like already. So Judkins, 108. Mitch, you're up.
You know, if this is how the draft will go, I'm going with the wide receiver 1 in the class if this is the case, and it's Matthew Golden. Gets great capital with the Cowboys, going top 12. You know, I know analytically it's all over X that, hey, he doesn't hit what he needs to as far as like a top 24 wide receiver. That's great. Dude played with Quinn Ewers. I'm not holding that against him. Quinn Ewers is a terrible quarterback. And my biggest thing with Matthew Golden is I didn't watch any of him until like the championship game. And then I'm like, the game before that. And then I didn't know. And then he kept getting drafted or mocked to the Cowboys. And it kept happening. And it happened. And it happened. And I'm like, I don't even know who this dude is. Like, flat out. I had no idea. And I watched a little bit. I'm like, all right, I could kind of see it. And then he went and ran that 4.29 at the combine. I'm like, hold on. I need to take a minute. So I went and asked some other people who watched a lot more of that film than I did. And they're like, the dude can do everything. It's just, we never talked about him because everybody was in love with Bond. And if the NFL from day one is saying, hey, this guy is the wide receiver 1 in the class, why are we as a fantasy community just being like, no, we know what's best. You know, it's just this Ted McMillan guy. We love him. I'm just going to go with what we've heard the whole time. I'm going with Matthew Golden.
Yeah, I can't argue it. I mean, he got by far the highest capital, the only receiver that went in the top 25. And I know there's some comments in the chat. I'm going to put this up. These were the round 1 landing spots. So you can see most of those guys we've already taken. The only one I believe on that list that we've not drafted yet is Egbuka and Tyler Warren. And then round 2, we started to dip into round 2 with Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, and Quinshon Judkins. So there's the reminder on the landing spots. We'll flash those up here periodically so everybody can see them. Brandon, 110. What you doing?
Do it.
I know what you're telling me, Mitch, and I ain't doing it yet. So we're not doing this. I already got flamed in the chat for multiple picks already. So let's
keep it going, Brandon. Nobody likes any of Brandon's picks.
It's perfectly fine. It's fine. I'm gonna go to the guy that I was debating the last pick. I'm gonna go Travis Hunter. At some point, is the Giants landing spot the best landing spot? No, we already talked about this, right? He's probably, You know, he's got Russ Wilson throwing to him. He's behind Neighbors clearly in the pecking order. But can he carve out a role? Yeah, absolutely. He absolutely can. Is he an elite top 5 wide receiver? No. But at this point, who is that's left, right? You got Burden, you've got Tet. I mean, these are all kind of guys that are right in that range. We're past the point with the landing spots with running backs. There's nobody really left in the first 60 picks. So it's like, okay, do I want to take Cam Scatterboo this early? I don't know that I necessarily feel that comfortable at 110 taking the swing, you know? So I'm fine with taking Travis here. And if it misses, it's the 110. This is a range where I'm perfectly fine with missing on somebody like Travis Hunter. And even the second and this is almost like an ADV pick, Scott, because here's the thing. If Travis Hunter takes something to the house early, you know that the ADV is going to fly on him because he's in New York City.
Yeah. And I mean, we already talked about it. What's the pick you're willing to just punt if you're wrong? And one thing we haven't really discussed is we may not get clarity by the time your rookie draft comes, but there becomes a point in every rookie draft. Last year, it was the same when you got to the second, and there was still a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix left, where the benefit is actually drafting a player in today's Dynasty game where people react so quickly. Drafting a player where there's still some gas left in the tank sometimes can be positive, right? Like I took Quinshon Judkins. If he comes out and he's not on the field ahead of Brian Robinson for the first 4 weeks, people will be panicking. Now, they probably shouldn't, but they will. Mitch, if Matthew Golden comes out and he's not smashing snaps from Jalen Tolbert day one, people are going to be going, this dude never should have been drafted as the wide receiver 1. Like those 2 players, especially with those spots or those situations, like people may be scoffing at this thought, but there's the idea that as long as Travis Hunter is not a full-time defensive back where he just never plays offense, there might be a world where like the wide receiver role grows over the season. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's like, okay, yeah, we had to try it, but he figured out that receiver was his best position. In the second half of the year, there's actually some value insulation because we haven't seen that downside to the pick yet. So it's just an interesting dichotomy where your league's going to value him. I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka. I debated him before at the 108. I think he's a pretty clear pick at the 111. Kind of similar to Travis Hunter, guys. I think that if he lands with the Rams, it's a great spot. But people will also forgive him. It's like the JSN argument with him going to Seattle, right? Like if he's not a top 24 receiver year 1, you're not going to bury him because you expect there's going to be opportunity or there's going to be something that people think he will grow into. This would be the Roma Dunze JSN correlate for the last couple years, where early on, he's probably not going to be one of the top 2 in the pecking order. But eventually there will be that spike like there was with Rome, like there was with JSN. So I think he's pretty good bet here at the 111. All right, Mitch, there's 1 first-round player left. Is that where you're going?
Man, I'm debating this one hard. This is tough because I'm like, if I'm on the clock right now and I can't move out, no one's willing to trade up. I love Luther Burden here. I could take Tyler Warren, even though I just said I don't love his landing spot, but landing spots do matter to me. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, talent over landing spot. And I'm like, I've seen landing spots flat out kill quarterbacks, seen him kill a lot of positional players before. I don't want to keep coming off because I don't think this is a hot take, to be honest, but the best tight end landing spot for a rookie we probably have right now is with the Denver Broncos. And so I'm going Mason Taylor. Denver Broncos, second round. I'm going him here. I've said from day one that there's kind of the top 2 tight ends, and then Mason Taylor's right next to him. If you took those 2 tight ends out, Mason Taylor would be by far the tight end 1 in this class, and I don't think there's one close to it. So for me, give me the 1. I think he's going to go to a good spot. I know they have Evan Ingram there. Evan Ingram is hurt all the time. And so if that's the spot, that's where I'm going to go.
Man, I thought the Colston Loveland pick at 107 was crazy with this spot. I respect it, Mitch. I respect the conviction. I don't know if the community is going to view this the same way. They're going to see Evan Ingram and they're going to go, there's no way I'm taking Mason Taylor, who was a second-round pick, over a top 10 pick, Tyler Warren, who goes to the Jets with nothing else except for Garrett Wilson.
I
I don't
think
know. Brandon, what do you think?
I think real quick, I just think it speaks so much to this class.
Mhm.
There isn't the elite talent, and so while we can talk up a lot of these players that we've liked for the last 3 months, a landing spot's going to be so important to me because there aren't elite players outside of, I mean, you have Genty, the running backs are pretty good. Do we have a real bona fide top 24 wide receiver we could say right now in this draft class? I mean, we hope. That's the best we could say is we hope there's one. Tight end wise, we like Tyler Warren, who did it as a, what was he, 23 when he finally broke out at Penn State. And then Colson Loveland's good, but he went to the Colts. Mason Taylor to the Broncos behind a good tight end. It's really tough. And then you have second round Jackson Dart and Jalen Milrow, to where this class just does not have that high end talent. And so I think there's players that if you actually like them, I think you just take the players that you like in this draft.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you laid out your argument. I don't agree with it. Brandon, before you pick, any thoughts on the Mason Taylor above Tyler Warren in this mock? Because I don't think that's going to be I think that's going to be the pick of the draft that people go, I'm shocked because Warren went in the top 10. But quick thoughts and then you're up.
I mean, I don't love the fact that Evan Ingram's there. That would be my only pushback. Like, that would be my only pushback. I don't have a problem with the landing spot. I think that it's a very, Sean Payton uses multiple tight ends, so I really don't think that it's really that big of an issue. But it's for some folks that they've already seen Evan Ingram get signed there. How can Mason Taylor even be top 24? That would probably be people's pushback.
Yep.
I'm going to take Tet McMillan here. I'm going to take Tet McMillan here. I know the landing, the pick 52 doesn't speak, confidence. We've talked about it, but it's right on the fringe of where you start to be like, okay, I could still talk myself into this situation. Especially folks are going to see him to Seattle. They're going to naturally make the replacement of Ted is going to replace DK. So I don't think that Marquez Valdez-Scantling is going to be a roadblock to him to getting on the field. I think if you look at, Sam Darnold and what he likes to do, he likes to push the ball downfield. I don't think that this is a bad lane. I don't think this is as bad a landing spot. So I'm perfectly fine with taking Ted here at the 2-1 when he's been mocked anywhere from 104 to 106. So for me, getting the value here at 201, we just talked about Travis Hunter. Like, what pick are you willing to throw away? Like, if I'm throwing away an early second on Ted, I'm cool.
I'll be honest, but it's an awful landing spot. He's not going to get anything easy early on in his career, but I will say the one thing with Ted McMillan is there's probably somebody else that likes him a lot. So getting him in the second, forget about I think you're talking yourself into Seattle being a good landing spot. Like, if Cooper Kupp's not completely dusted, which maybe that's part of your bet, if he's not completely dusted, Tet's not getting anything easy early on in his career. He's just not. But you got him in the second round, Brandon. You could make the same argument with Igbokwe, right? Like, people like him. The role is going to grow, expand. The value is going to increase because there's going to be a built-in excuse early on. That would be the reason to take him. The downside is, dude, he's not even picked in the top 50 in this mock. Now, whether we think that's realistic or not, if he slips outside of the first round in the NFL draft, he really shouldn't be a first-round rookie pick. As much as you like him and you think he should have gone higher, if he falls, I don't think he's going to fall out of the first. But if he did, you can't just go, oh, he's the best receiver in the class. That's what I think. I'm taking him in the first. That's probably not a smart bet. All right, Tyler Warren's not falling any further. It's the 202, probably the steal of the draft, so everybody can give me a round of applause for getting him at 202. And we will move on because I think he was the last one of this probably tier. Now it gets, I think, very interesting.
Horrible.
It's definitely get your guy season going forward. So, Mitch, you are up at 203. What you doing?
This is rough. This is not the spot that I want to be in, to be honest. There's two running backs who, I don't know if anyone saw the third round, but in the third round, we still had Dylan Sampson go to the Browns, and you have Scatterbo going to the Steelers. Both two really good landing spots. we have wide receivers and quarterbacks, they're in the second round, but you know what, Scott, you talked earlier about community sentiment and how certain players, Brand even alluded to it, to where as soon as they get hype, that value is going to skyrocket. Can you imagine a better landing spot for Scatterboo? He's going to the Steelers. He's going with Arthur Smith. It's like the slowest run game meets like the dude who wants to run nonstop. It's like the perfect landing spot for him. And so that community sentiment is huge. And while it is early here, I'm saying it's because it's based off, there's not a lot. We talked about it to begin with. Not a lot of running backs went in the top 3 rounds. And I'm not going to boost up a 4th round guy because there's not really any 4th round guys either to boost up ahead of these 3rd round guys. So I'll take Scatterboo here.
I can't argue with it. The Steelers are going to draft a running back. That 3rd round pick is a probable spot where they take one. I doubt they take one in round 1. So I think you're right. I think that would be almost ideal for the landing spot plus the player combined with the draft capital. I don't think that's crazy at all, and people like him. So I think this is probably where he should go because there's not a lot of other running back options. You're really reaching and just attaching landing spots to players if you're taking any other running backs, I think. So Scatterboo at 203. Brandon, you are up at 204, sir.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat and I see that I've seen the comment of this mock isn't good. Friends, the reality is like here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm not calling CB out because I've seen it a couple times. I think we need to be careful because this is a very realistic possibility. It's not going to be
the NFL mock, right? The NFL, what we're mocking off of. Yes, continue.
Like the NFL could completely do something very close to this, and now you're going to be sitting in a seat where you have these picks, and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, how do I discern what is good and what is not good? I'm taking Luther Burden here. He went early in the 2nd round to Jacksonville. Yes, they have Brian Thomas, but can Burden be the Robin to Batman at Brian Thomas? I think so. They have the quarterback already set in place. Liam Cohen clearly showed in Tampa Bay that he will utilize Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think this is a great landing spot for him. I know it's not ideal, but hey, if I could see a way where people would get on board with this, and this is another pick here where early in the 2nd round pick, an early 2nd round pick, if I miss on Burden, I'm okay missing him here. I'm not okay missing him in the late 1st.
Yeah, I can't argue that. That's probably the receiver that should come off the board next. He's got everything going. He's got a good profile. There's a lot of people that have him as their wide receiver 1 still. And he went to a spot where he's not going to be asked to be the guy. Like I think if you look at this as you're just trying to hit a double with this pick, Brandon, it's a very good bet that you hit a double. It's just people look at receivers through the lens of if they're not elite, I don't want them. But like Mitch, what else were you even going to do with this pick? I would feel real good getting Burden here compared to spending the 109 or the 111 on Igbuka and Golden. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel pretty similar about those bets. If I traded back 6 spots and this is where I landed, if I got another 2nd on top of Burden for Golden, I'd rather have the Burden plus the 2nd, right? Like, are you kind of thinking the same thing?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. All right, 205. I am up. There's a couple picks I'm debating here. Jackson Dart went to the early 2nd to the Giants. Now, I'm curious what you guys think the community would do with Jackson Dart if he went here. They do have 2 other quarterbacks that are almost assuredly going to get chances before he gets thrown out there, but that means nothing given who those 2 quarterbacks have. I think between Russ and Jameis, they've been benched like 5 times or more in their career already. So we already know that's pretty much a formality. That's going to happen. And then Jackson Dart, if he is the dude, he has Travis Hunter and Malik Neighbors. So you're like, if he's good, he's already got the weapons in place to literally jump right into that, QB2 mix as long as he doesn't bust. So I think there's a lot of high upside with that pick. The other consideration was Dylan Sampson went at the very early part of the 3rd to the Browns. That's probably where I'm going to lean just because there's a few other quarterbacks. And I think just as much as it feels good to get a starting quarterback, I think you can obtain quarterbacks in that kind of dead zone range or the purgatory range. Like I could probably, with one of these picks, maybe not this pick, but the first few picks of this second, I could probably tack on a third and go buy like a Tua or someone like that. And I kind of feel like, does Jackson Dart really have way more ceiling than those guys? It's a big swing. But I'm going to go Dylan Sampson, who went first pick of the third round, or no, pick 67. So third pick of the third round to the Browns. And I think the community would see him probably above Scattaboo because they would see him as the starter day one on a team that has nobody else. So there it is, Dylan Sampson at the 205. Mitch, I saw you shaking your head. Did you get sniped there?
I did, because I didn't want to have to make the choice between the quarterbacks, to be honest. I'm a Jackson Dart guy. I have been. Him going to the Giants and probably having a new coaching staff in 26, it doesn't make me feel great, you know? And while Stefanski's kind of on the hot seat, I don't think it's quite the same. And I don't think Jalen Milroe can throw the football. I think that's kind of something you have to do as a quarterback. Browns took him 33rd, the first pick in the second round, they took him there. And so this is kind of what we're going to be going through in rookie drafts. I think, this is pretty standard for how it's going to go. There's no other. Trey Harris would be the other wide receiver that I would kind of look to right here. There's not a tight end I want. You took the running back that I wanted. And so then now I'm left with, hey, do I want Jackson Dart, who I think there's a strong chance that he ends up having to sit for the full season, which he probably needs, but that is going to hurt him dynasty-wise if he doesn't start and a new coaching staff comes in, and you don't know if they're going to like him. So I will go Jalen Milroe just because I think if he does start, you could probably at least get this draft equity back. And I don't know if that's the same for Jackson. If Jackson Dart goes out game one and just craps the bed, it's probably never coming back. But if Jalen Milroe goes out and runs for 70 yards and a touchdown, people will be like, you know what? It's better than the quarterback 25 I'm running out right now.
Yeah, I can't really argue. I mean, I agreed with the comment. I'll put it up there one more time. John Paul said, if Milroe and Dart go the first two picks of the second to these landing spots, like they probably go ahead of Scattaboo or Sampson because somebody's like, I need a quarterback. I'm taking a shot. Same logic as Hunter, right? I'm willing to piss this pick away if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I hit on a quarterback way cheaper than I would have to probably pay on the open market. Brandon, would you have gone Dart or Milroe if you had to pick? I assume you may be going Dart here. I don't know, but kind of talk through your process on both of those guys if they hit these spots.
Mitch took my pick. I want to say it. Mitch took my pick. I was pushing Milroe as far.
So you were Milroe ahead of Dart easily.
I want to be honest with you. I was thinking Milroe all the way up at 110, but I kept like,
should have done it, dude.
But because there's no real reason for me to take him over Travis. There was no way. There was no reason. Right?
Okay.
Like that is a little bit. That would have been. I had already, especially in the chat, I would have gotten killed. I took Colston Loveland at 107, and I was debating whether or not Ashton Genty's a top 10 running back in Dynasty. So I already had enough heat underneath me. I didn't need more heat, and then Tet fell in my lap at 2-1. So that was there. I probably could have taken him I probably should have taken Milroe at 2-4. That's probably where realistically, I mean, he picked 33. So essentially he's a first round pick. It's a first round quarterback. You have to, at some point, respect the fact that it's top 34 draft capital. He's going to get an opportunity probably sooner rather than later. Joe Flacco got signed, $4 million deal. What's that give him the first couple games of the year?
Yeah, they're similar situations. They're both in spots where numerous quarterbacks in front of them to start the year have already been casted off before. So they're both going to get opportunity.
Milroe's probably not the most accurate quarterback we've noticed to be the case. Like, they would probably try to utilize him in a way where he is limited to 25 to 30 throws. And they probably would be throws that are probably, some of them are not going to be quality. So, you're banking on his rushing, at which, there's that's how Jalen Hurts came in. A lot of people kind of had similar sentiment, like, and if Milroe pops, like Mitch said, like if Milroe takes takes 140 or 50 yards to the house, people are just going to be in on him. So whether we like them or not, I mean, there's a lot of prospects each and every year we don't like, and then they pop and you're like, well, I got to do something with them.
It's a
So,
likability thing, and then I'll let you make your
yeah.
pick because
Yeah, I'm going Jackson Dart here.
you're going Dart. Okay.
I'm
I
going
figured that would
Dart.
be the next
I
pick.
mean, at the end of the day, like, yes, he's probably going to sit. He's probably going to sit for a bit. But at 2-7, like, all I got to do is see a flash this year. That's all I got to see is just see something. It could be, week 17, right? Where you get that hopium and, maybe he turns it into what Michael Penix is right now. And all of a sudden, even if you don't believe in Dart, you could probably move him immediately for another quarterback that you want.
Yeah.
Like that's the actionable step, right? Is that even if you don't believe in Dart because you question his decision making or whatever, like once he does something that is positive and people want to get in on him, then you can move him right away.
Yeah, and I think the thing that people lose sight of is they just look at the start and then they look at the outcome. But the names I've seen mentioned already just on this stream, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Malik Willis, like you would have bet this pick on all of those guys numerous times over the span of their careers. Hell, Malik Willis might end up being the best quarterback of those four in terms of like how long they play. And he's still a backup that you're like, if Malik Willis starts where he is right now, if he were going to start 4 games next year in a row, people would be paying seconds to get those 4 starts. You know what I mean? So like worst case scenario, you just need these guys to last. If somebody like Milroe just lasts for 3 years and he's a backup half the time, like there's going to be a window or 2 windows or 5 windows to get out for what you spent. So that's the justification. It's not, I think Milroe's a long-term starter that's going to get a $50 million a deal contract. Like that's a massive hit. But everything else in between, you got an asset that you can move. And honestly, in this draft, guys, we're already at the 208. And I'm just like, all these picks are the same. Truthfully, I'm to the point now where I am just drafting narrative. There's not even a running back. I'm going to put this up for everybody so you can see it. Round 3, there's not even a running back left. So this is the old, man, I'm just going to hammer running back in the middle rounds of the draft. Well, I'm already dipping into round 4 and round 5 over guys that went in the middle of the second to good spots. And here's round 4. This ain't a great round 4 draft either. Like, look at the running backs here. Giddens is probably the only one I would consider. Ain't nobody going to want Bashul Tutin going to the Titans in the 4th. They're not going to be excited about that. You know what I mean? Like, this was not a great any RB on a 53 draft, to be truthful. So, all right, I'm not going to belabor the point. I think people are going to like this. I don't typically love taking receivers here, but I'm going to go Jaden Higgins. He went to the Packers at pick 54. Whether you like him or not, all you hear is the Packers need a wide receiver 1. They need an elite outside receiver. Whether that's Jaden Higgins or not, there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, that's a great pick. That's going to be their number 1. I hate it. I've done the research on the Packers offense. It is not a fantasy haven, and they already have 3 guys that are going to score points. Tucker Kraft's going to get 15% of the targets. Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed are going to get probably 15 to 20% of the targets. They had the lowest neutral pass rate in the league last year. This is not a fantasy haven. Jaden Higgins would be overvalued, but I think the community will like this spot because they've been starved for a good Packers receiver for a long time. So there he is. Jaden Higgins went pick 54 to Green Bay. Mitch, you're up.
I mean, everything you said's right. There's not a wide receiver I love here, so I'm going to attack the position to where there could be a premium on him. I'll go Elijah Arroyo because he went to the Chargers. It's just one of those landing spots to where 3rd round tight end, someone's probably going to like him even more than I do, and I could see him going before this just because there's not a lot of tight ends going to good spots, and so I will take him there.
Interesting, Mitch. Elijah Arroyo here or Mason Taylor to the Broncos. I honestly think the community may flip those based on
I think you're right.
People will like the Chargers more than they will like the Broncos spot.
Look,
don't you think?
I'm willing to admit that maybe 20 minutes ago I got a little hyped up on the Mason Taylor thing. That could have been one of those picks I wish I had back at this point, but this is why we do the process, right?
Yep. Elijah Arroyo went round 3 to the Chargers, so he didn't get the capital of Mason Taylor. This is probably where he should go. But I could see people tiering him as the tight end 3 in this mock because of that landing spot versus the one in Denver with Evan Ingram. So, Brandon, you are up at 210. Curious what you do here.
There's a lot of guys I want to take, but I'm like, I'm probably reaching a little bit. Guys that I probably would have taken here, but it doesn't really feel great. This is kind of.
Is it exciting to pick here, Brandon, or does it feel really uninspiring?
Here's the thing: I actually like these picks because there's so many different ones that I could go so many different ways, and I'm okay with it because I'm at 210. I'm not in the first round. So now when I'm looking at second rounders in a start 11, I'm looking for guys that could flash and sit in my flex. And that's why I'm taking Trey Harris here. I'm taking this is a spot where does Houston need a number 1? No, they got Nico. Do they need a number 2? No, they got Christian Kirk. So the expectation for him is not to come in and be a giant target runner right off the rip. But you know what he can do is he can be another option for CJ Stroud. So I'm going to take that. We have it's not the same Bobby Slowick offense. So we're going to have a different offense in Houston too, which I don't think we've discussed a lot. So I'm interested to see what Trey Harris. He had a very good start to his 2024 campaign, got hurt. We can go through all of that, but I feel like at this point he's at a pick, and you could tell yourself a story where I feel okay taking Trey Harris here.
Mitch, I think it's because I just did the Mannequin Chill and I just recorded the wide receiver war episode. We're just lighting picks on fire by drafting receivers that went outside the top 50. It is just purely what story can I tell with the hopes of maybe I can cash out for a little bit more or something different. But that's probably why I'm turned off on these picks. Truthfully, it's an eye-opener for me because I expect, and this is why this mock isn't great, I expect round 4 and round 5 to be littered with running backs that I'm like, you know what? I don't care if I waste the 210. If I just get a Tyler Algier type or a Braylon Allen type, I'm rather using the pick on that because I have multiple years of equity on my roster, but those really don't even exist in this mock. So it just makes these picks a little empty for me. I am going to take that round 4 running back that I mentioned. We had DJ Giddens going to the Chargers, pick 125 in round 4. I think people will love that. They will see that as the opposite of Najee Harris, and they will really like that pick. I think he'll probably go higher. You could argue he goes up there with Sampson and Scattaboo because people just like that Chargers spot a ton. So he's the pick at 211. Mitch, any thoughts how you close out the end of the second? Has this been for somebody that's probably looking for some running backs in this range, has this been an eye-opener to you?
It's bad because if you look at round 5, it's even worse. It doesn't get any better for the running backs. So I just I hate to do it again, but I'm just going to go tight end again. If this is the way that the draft goes, and I think there's a likelihood to where I think we get some better landing spots than kind of what's been shown. But if this is how it's going to go, I will go Harold Fannin to Jacksonville. I mean, if I'm looking through it, Scott, I'm like you, though. I'm not a Fannin guy, right? But I think in the premium, if he could catch enough passes for it to work. But there's not a wide receiver here that, like you said, I want to burn a pick on. I'm a huge Jalen Royals guy. He went to the Chiefs in the 3rd round. I love Jalen Royals. He is literally, they have 5 of him on the roster already. So how is he going to get playing time? Alec Manor, he's going to go to the Chargers. He's their 4th wide receiver. People can hate Quentin Johnson all they want. More than likely, he's still the starter. They have Mike Williams again. And it's, now what? And I don't know what to do with these. There's no running backs you can really boost yet. And so I'm just going to keep hammering out the tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, Manor is the only player in round 2 that we've not selected yet. And then round 3, we've already dipped into Sampson, now Fannin, Scattaboo, Arroyo. And if you just look at that, I mean, how can I sit here and preach that receivers in this range are bad and half the picks in these ranges are receivers, Brandon? So you're starting round 3. What are you thinking? This is tough.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. This is where you got to just
Get
your guy season.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. I'm torn between Will Howard in round 4. I'll be honest. I've looked at it. I mean, yes, they just signed Gino, but there's a connection there between the offensive coordinator and Chip Kelly. And if he has to start games, I mean, we're in round 3 here, so we're looking for guys that we could, if they get it on the field and they get it, that's a spot. I'm gonna go Ollie Gordon here. I'm gonna dip into the round 6 pool.
I love how Brandon's debating some of these other guys, and then he says, screw round 4 and round 5. Let's just go to round 6. But that speaks to what Mitch said.
I'm going to do the job. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do Ja Morant, throw the grenade and hold my hands and just pray it works. I mean, somebody's going to have to come alongside Chase Brown. That's just the reality. He's not he was durable at the end of the season, but they're probably going to bring somebody in to at least share some of the workload. And Ollie is a good complement to what Chase Brown is. And in the round 3, can Ollie be the goal line guy and the short yardage guy, and Chase Brown is the Austin Eckler do it all? Can they complement one another? And it's a good offense where, maybe occasionally he sees a couple checkdowns. If he gets 20 to 25 receptions, we don't feel great about that, but at least he's got something there.
Yeah, I think in round 3, probably late round 2, but definitely round 3, you basically have permission to just abandon NFL draft capital. It is all about, do I see a path for some sort of equity or use? Because all of these picks, I'm even fine. At first, I started to laugh when you said Will Howard, but if you think a quarterback has a shot to maybe even get some spot starts or be a backup for multiple years with a skill set that if he plays, I can get some starts out of him, I don't even hate taking the quarterbacks, but that's how bad a lot of these skill player positions in here. Ooh. 302. Mitch, I am really struggling. I'm just trying to look for the running back that I've missed here. Because, here's what we have. I mean, we have round 4. We have Bashal Tutin to the Titans. Decent capital. But, people are going to look at that and go, where's the immediate opportunity? You know what I mean? It could be 2 years away from immediate opportunity. It's probably earlier than that, but still, that's not going to inspire a ton of confidence. Round 5, we have Damian Martinez to the Panthers. Okay. They have 2 other running backs that are not just going to just be gone. You know what I mean? So that's another one where I struggle with. How about Trevor Etienne to the Seahawks? Man, people aren't going to like that because, that's just what, Kenny McIntosh over again? I mean, I don't know. Marcus Yarns to the Ravens. How about that one? People going to like that landing spot? I mean, I see why Brandon went to round 6. So, man. I'm just speechless. I'm going to go. I'll just put this up because this is going to be the last pick of round 2. I'm going to go Elikiah Manor to the Chargers because it's the Chargers, and somebody will say they need another receiver, and that is simply the reasoning. I don't like him. I think it's a bad pick, but I can sell myself where it's Justin Herbert. It's the Chargers. They were 6th highest in neutral pass rate last year. So believe it or not, they do want to throw the ball. They just didn't have the guys to do it. Maybe you can sell somebody on this, but I absolutely hate this pick. Mitch, go ahead.
Same. I'm going to go Jack Beck, and I've seen, Scott, everything that you have put in the Discord about him. But he's going to the Patriots. And it's one of those guys to where, you know what?
It's a story, right?
Yeah. The rookie wide receivers last time played 3 snaps. Hopefully Jack Beck can play 15 this year. That would be great. But this is where you're going to tell yourself some narratives here. And as far as the wide receivers go, he has a pretty decent one there with the Patriots. And I really think anybody who lands with the Patriots as a wide receiver, we're going to see them boosted up. I was going to mention earlier, Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter ends up slipping to the 4th pick, all of a sudden, I think people can talk themselves into it, the 105, 106, because they have Diggs and who else. And so I think I actually kind of want him to go to the Patriots just because I think it's a lot more of a fun landing spot.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is I put out the poll earlier this week. If Hunter goes to a team that then also takes a receiver in the second, and it's Burden or Igbuka or someone like that, I know that's a crazy scenario, but like, would it be crazy if the Patriots took Hunter and then if Igbuka fell, they took him too? And you're like, well, they've been starving for good receivers. So they're like, we're not going to have that problem ever again after this draft. But Brandon, 304. I really think you just got to tell yourself a story, like with the Jack Besh pick and a lot of these. Like, how do you play this? Because I know you play a lot of best ball. Like, if you draft a Jack Besh and you know that he's a bad bet long term, like, what are you looking for to have that discipline to go, oh my gosh, I took him at the 303, but someone offered me a 27 second during the preseason? Is that like, goodbye? I'll just use the second for something else?
I'll pay the shipping. I'll pay the shipping for you too. You want to give me a 27 second? Sure. If you believe that much in Jack Besh, who I took at 303, sure. You could have him for a 27 second. Because I'll be able to use that 27 second at some point, maybe not in 2025, but in 2026, I'll be able to utilize it at some point. Shout out to the 150 plus people on YouTube bearing with us as we grind through this third round.
Let's grind through them. This is about as I didn't look at all these picks before I sent you guys the mock, but if I would have known it was going to be this depressing in these ranges, this could happen. So let's continue with it. Let's rip them off.
I'm taking Jalen Noel. I could tell myself the story. He's the wide receiver 1 in New Orleans for Shedeur Sanders. Okay. I can tell myself the story. Chris Olave can't stay healthy. Rashid Shaheed is coming off of a knee injury. It's Alvin Kamara. That's it. Like Juwan Johnson. Like you really I know it's a third round. It's not the great, the hit rates are, you're going to put out a video that says this is the absolute stone worst pick I could make at 3-4.
No,
I
think the community is going to say he's buried on a team with a rookie QB and a third round pick, but I get it.
But this is one of those spots where you could see, all of a sudden there's buzz in training camp that he's moving up the depth chart, that he's got a good rapport with the rookie quarterback. Like I could, again, even if you don't believe in him, ship him off, right? Go get a Christian Kirk and a pick. Go get, Wandale Robinson and a 2026 third. Like there's enough options that are almost similar to Jalen Noel where you could probably get a little bit thrown on top as a sweetener. And you're like, okay, move on.
Yeah. It's funny. Someone said the other day, like, how does this change in best ball? And I'm like, a lot of these picks are fine in best ball. You know what I mean? Like, they're receivers that are going to be on the field. That's all you're asking for. But the threshold in a lineup league like this is just so much higher. So I am up at the 305. I mean, the next receiver off the board, honestly, is Isaiah Bond, who went to the Raiders in the early third. That would be such a Raiders pick, wouldn't it, Mitch? If they somehow just still take Isaiah Bond higher than everybody else expects. But that's not going to happen. Although you could argue if he goes there with this capital, like we're picking Jack Besh and Jalen Noel and Alec Iamaner. I mean, what's the difference once you get to this range? There's really not much other than I don't think is there any likability on Isaiah Bond?
No. So I see him. I've been through 2 rookie mock drafts. He has been drafted and they were both third round mock drafts. And,
okay.
And then we had the news come out about what he was accused of in Texas. And right now I think he's off so many teams. And that's something that you just need to be knowledgeable of, is like, let's say he's completely innocent or whatever. People have that in their mind. There's people who just flat out won't have him on their team. And if that means, hey, half the players in your league or managers in your league don't want to have Isaiah Bond on their team, kills your trade partners no matter if he's good or not. And there's a lot of players that end up, getting in that role. And so I'll just completely stay away from him. I really don't care where he's drafted, to be honest.
Yep, that's fair. I'll go Bashul Tootin. He went to the 4th. He went to the Titans. People aren't going to like that landing spot, but you're really kind of just betting that they do something different with the backfield that they have now. And if it breaks your way, you could look up at the end of the season and go, he was the one everybody wanted with the Titans. So I do think there is a little bit of narrative. You can tell yourself the story. I just don't think people are going to love this landing spot, but screw it. We're taking Jack Besh and Jalen Noel, who were drafted where they were in the 3rd. So I'll just take a running back that has a skill set or a trait that people are going to like. So he went to the Titans, pick 120, round 4. Mitch, it's you.
Give me a round 7 running back. We're going to go LaQuint Allen to the Texans.
Whoa.
I think they need all the help they could get in that backfield. Good pass catching back. And, that's kind of something you could say, like, hey, he could be the 2-minute guy if Mixon goes out, and Mixon's getting older. So if that's the case, yeah, give me LaQuint Allen.
Yeah, just wild card, right? You're looking for a running back with a role. Pretty much.
Yep.
Don't care where they were drafted, draft capital wise.
He'll be on the 53-man roster.
Yep, agree. All right, Brandon, 307.
I'm going to take RJ Harvey here. I think this
People
is
are not going to like where he went in the mock, but continue. Where did he go?
Nobody's going to love that he went round 6 to the Green Bay Packers. Nobody's going to love it because he's this year's Bucky Irving. But the reality is they didn't really have anybody outside of Josh Jacobs. Like, they tried Emmanuel Wilson. It really didn't. Like, I could see Harvey carving out a role, where he's the pass catcher. I mean, again, it's not a great landing spot, not really much, but if Josh Jacobs were to ever go down, everybody's going to be like, oh, RJ Harvey's there. Let's give him a bump.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few other running backs I really like that are very similar. I see our boy Dustin in the chat. Well, I know Devin Neal. I mean, Devin Neal went to the Rams. You listen to podcasts out there. Supposedly the Rams are the team that cannot take a running back in this year's class, but it would be fitting if they took Devin Neal, right? Because clearly he has way less capital than Blake Corum. And I don't think people would like it, but I don't think there's that big of a difference between him and a couple of the guys that have already been taken. So I'm going to go exactly what you guys have done. I'm simply looking for the running back that I think gets the spot where there's going to be an immediate role. You could argue Damian Martinez maybe on the Panthers. He got the highest capital of the running backs remaining. He went round 5 at the beginning of round 5. ETN to the Seahawks. That one's probably out. Marcus Yarns to the Ravens. That one's probably out. These two are interesting. I think for me, it's between Jaden Blue to the Vikings, which I'm not sure he's better than Jordan Mason, but he does something different than what they have. But I'm going to go Woody Marks. Woody Marks went to the Jaguars. They'll have the natural Woody Marks as this year's Bucky. Didn't go in the same spot as Bucky, but people are going to like the Liam Cohen running back. I wish it was somebody else besides Woody Marks, but the Bucky Irving comp will be there with Liam Cohen. So we'll go Woody Marks, who went to the Jaguars, pick 182, round 6. Mitch, it's on you.
I want to trade out. There's not even like running back that I want to take right now. I would love Jordan James, but he's stuck on the Lions, and that's not great. So this is where I'm going to draft my guy. I'm going to take Jalen Royals. He's kind of buried with the Chiefs, but he did get 3rd round capital. If anything happens to Rice, I think he fills the Rice role absolutely perfect. If Rice, has off the field issues we have to deal with. And so I'll take Royals here.
Yeah. Nothing more needs to be said. You have a narrative, you rolled with it. So Brandon, you're up.
I'm going to go Will Howard here. I think that this is this is where you start taking those shots in lineup. This is where you start taking those shots on any QB on a 53. If I get any starts out of him this year, great, golden. I'm in great shape, but he's a guy that probably hangs around the league. He's going to be that winner, right? That winner backup. It's just going to chill for a few years. And
it's the Chip Kelly narrative, right?
Yep.
Like you have that in your back pocket that you can tell yourself a story. Simple as that. All right. So I'm at 311. I'm going to go Damian Martinez. He went high round 5 to the Panthers. I do think that backfield is up for grabs probably at some point in this season. And so I think he's got a shot to kind of roll into the role that Dowdle will get to start the year. But again, I'm just taking a shot on a running back that, you really compare Martinez to some of the others in the class. I'm probably higher on him if he gets a better landing spot. If he would have gone where like DJ Giddens went, I would have probably taken him in the first half of the 2nd round. because just as players, I'm probably higher on Martinez than most. But he went here in round 5 to the Panthers, pick 140. Mitch, close out round 3, and then we will rip through round 4 and be done with this thing.
Let's go Brashard Smith, Colts, who went in the 6th round. So I'm going to back up JT.
Yeah, so Mitch doubling down on the Richard, because if it's Richardson, he's not going to help a back like Brashard Smith probably, but you know, you've already made that bet, so I don't hate it. So Brashard Smith, pick 312. Okay, Brandon, rapid fire in the 4th. Give like 30 seconds analysis on why you would pick these players, and we'll just keep rolling through till we're done.
I'm going to take Terrence Ferguson here. He went in round 3 to the Seattle Seahawks. Not a great landing spot, but Seattle did use a couple tight ends last year outside of, utilizing Noah Fant. I feel good with the draft capital here, 175 premium. Taking a shot.
I don't hate the spot because I think, they do have Noah Fant, they do have AJ Barner, but you could argue he's at this point, he might be the best tight end they have. At least people will view it as he's the best one in terms of like likability. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can definitely tell myself a story with Ferguson there going in round 3. I mean, better capital than some of these other players that we're drafting for sure. Oh, let's see. Oh man, there's something. I know Mitch, you'll remember this, but I love seeing Rondé Gadsden going to the Dolphins. That's a blast from the past. If anybody remembered his dad.
Yep.
Played for the Dolphins. Quinn Ewers to the Steelers. They didn't draft a quarterback in this mock. So is he the starter? If this is what it was, is he getting starts? As gross as that is he getting starts? You know what? That's where I'm going to go. Why not? The way this unfolded, he went to the Steelers. Maybe they have Aaron Rodgers on draft day, or by the time you make your rookie draft pick, maybe they don't, but that's all they did. They didn't trade up. They didn't go after Dart or Milrow. They could have had him in the 1st. They didn't do it, but they went Quinn Ewers in the 4th. So as gross as it is, that is my pick. So Mitch, you're up.
Give me Tez Johnson to the Commanders, went in the 4th round. They already have their guy in Terry McLaurin, right? I think Tez Johnson is just they have to have a plan for him. And so if there is a plan for him to get him the ball 4 to 5 times and use that speed, I think that'll, and with the Commanders, I think anyone going to the Commanders, I want part of that offense. That's something I want to do in these later rounds, is I want players that are in offenses that I think are going to score a lot of points. And the Commanders, I think, are going to be one of the highest scoring team next year. So give me the wide receiver they picked in the 4th.
Yeah, that does feel like a pick where that could be the quick flick pick that you got a 3rd for him at some point. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just because he's on the Commanders, that could be the preseason darling that people are trading for before he even takes the field. So Brandon, 404, you.
Luke Lachey, round 7 to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
I could tell myself
the story.
I could tell myself the story that he's going to sit for the year and then he's going to compete when Travis Kelce retires in 2026. And I got him for a 4th. So even if it doesn't work, I can cut him and it doesn't really hurt me.
Luke Lachey is still not in sleeper. So congrats. You got the first one.
That's how good that's how far down people don't see him. But I mean, he has the upside to when healthy. You could tell yourself the story. Iowa tight end goes to the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. There's enough there.
Yep. We'll just pretend that that's Luke Lachey at the 404. Went to the Chiefs in the 7th. Okay, so I'm going to continue the run of just picking random running backs. There's a few that are interesting to me that went a little bit later. I'm going to take Devin Neal. I don't love the spot, but I do think if the Rams take a running back like Devin Neal, if they take a running back in round 4 or round 5, that might be an indictment on what they think of their current backs to an extent. One of them. I don't know which, but probably Corum more than Kyron, but I'd be fine with this in the 4th. It's a Rams running back. So even if he's Blake Corum next year, I'd be fine rostering that with the 4th round pick. So easy pick, Devin Neal. He went round 6 to the LA Rams, pick 195. Mitch, you're up.
I'll go Jordan James to the Lions, round 7. No matter what, they use 2 running backs almost all the time. If one's injured, someone else will come in. So if anything happens to Gibbs, I think Jordan James is going to be a pretty good replacement there.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, hey, I drafted some Sion Vaki last year for the same reason. You're just like, he's on the Lions. That was the only thing. Like, I know their running game is good. They just didn't really have any opportunity outside of their top 2, but you never know what could happen in a given season, so I don't hate that. Brandon, you got 2 picks left, 407. Tell the story. I love story time during these mocks because that's all we have.
This is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt's pick right here.
Whoa,
Why?
okay.
Why? He's a San Francisco running back. I don't care if he's round 7. If he makes the 53, we just know that Kyle Shanahan blows dudes up. Like they never stay healthy. I mean, look at what we were selling Jordan Mason and Isaac Garendo for last year. Like crazy, insane prices. And you know what both of them were? Free last offseason. I'll take him at 4.7. I probably don't even need to take him. Probably put him on the waiver. I'll probably pick him up for free on the waivers. But if he gets on the field, people will instantly be like, I want a second for him.
Mitch, that's probably the one and only time he'll ever be drafted. And Brandon told the story.
I think so. I'll be honest. I had to look him up. I mean, I dive into these rookies, right? Never heard of that dude before in my life until you sent this over earlier. I'm like, I should probably Google that name so I have some idea on who he is.
Wild. But hey, I mean, it just literally speaks to a lot of the other options. They're not super inspiring here. I'm going to go Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue went to the Vikings, pick 187. If the Vikings do take a running back, it's probably going to be someone in this range. Once they traded for Mason, they don't have a lot of picks, but I would like this spot. I like Jaden Blue. I would wish he went to a different spot, but again, kind of similar to some of the others that I've taken. I'm very happy taking this pick. He's got a superpower. He's a great receiver. He's fast. That's all I really need on the Vikings. So Jaden Blue, pick 408. 2 picks left, Mitch, 409.
Let's go Montrell Johnson, round 7 to the Chiefs. They hate Pacheco. They will use anybody over Pacheco. They just don't have anybody better. I mean, they have Elijah Mitchell right now. If he could stay healthy, so be it. But yeah, give me a running back on the Chiefs. Someone will talk themselves into him in the offseason.
All right, the second player that is still not in Sleeper's database, so we are going to give you somebody random that I know is not going to be picked. Brandon, you're up with your next pick. I'll find a random running back to throw in there in place.
I'm going to take this is my final pick, right?
This is your final pick, yes.
I'm going to take Kyle McCord here. Quarterback.
You actually sniped me. You actually sniped me.
Round 4 to the New York Football Jets. Yeah, I mean, tell yourself a story, right? Maybe he gets in there before Tyrod. Maybe he's held around. I mean, he's backup quarterback, round 4. If he doesn't make the 53, you just cut him.
Yeah, again, it's all about the story. I don't know how many times we're going to say that, but it's true. Okay, so I got 1 pick left. I got to make it count. I'm scrolling down here. The answers aren't coming to me. There's a few names. There's a few stories that I can tell. Something about Kyle Williams, round 3 to the Broncos. Some people have pumped him up. I'm going against the brand by taking a receiver here. I would never do this in an actual draft. Like, this is where I'm like, can I get a 27 fourth instead of making this pick? Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'll take Kyle Williams. I think the 3rd round capital seals the deal. It's mid 3rd round capital. The Broncos, as much as people wouldn't like the spot because it's not an automatic opportunity spot, there's not really a lot of receiving talent on the Broncos. Now, apparently, they're just going to roll out 2 tight ends because Mason Taylor's a 1st round pick. So, Kyle Williams, that's my pick at 411. Went to the Broncos in round 3, pick 85. And Mitch, close it out. Mr. Irrelevant in our mock. What you doing?
Gonna go Dylan Gabriel to the Jags. And not because I think, hey, he could start someday. I think Dylan Gabriel's going to be a guy who could be a backup for 12 years in the league. And whatever team he's on, he'll be the quarterback too. I mean, he's old as hell going into the league already. He has a ton of college experience. I think he's just going to be a guy that's going to stick around the league for a very, very long time. If I get that for the back end of the 4th round, I'll do it.
Yeah, I like it. So, guys, we're not going to go through. We're going to analyze this. I mean, the board stands for itself. This was not an inspiring mock, but 30 seconds. Close it out, Brandon. Thoughts? Anything that you learned by going through this exercise so we can get out of here within an hour and a half?
Yeah, the landing spots, as the last comment just said, landing spots were not fun. And the NFL will probably do that to us. So, just be fluid. That's really what it comes down to. Be fluid in your actual rookie drafts. Don't just take lock yourself because it's something you've done for the last 2 to 3 months.
Anybody real quick looking at the list that stands out to you where you're like, they should have been drafted? Like if I had to say, Brandon, what player in the comments will people say should have been picked that was not, just based on name value alone? Anybody stand out to you if you still have the list in front of you or no? You're muted.
Like I really don't know. Because I mean, what story were you going to tell yourself? Any of the wide receivers really inspire confidence in them? How about any of the tight ends? Like, I don't really think there was much. I don't really think there was many. Yeah, maybe Savion. Maybe he's got a little bit of ADV, but he went to the Panthers. Day 3. Yeah. Like, he's probably going to be still buried behind Xavier Leggett and Adam Thielen.
There's steam out there that half the teams are going to use him as a running back.
Yep.
Not even as a receiver. So, I mean, the fact that they took Martinez too, you know what I mean? Like that feels like a tough one to even draft in fantasy till we know more about the role. Mitch, what about you? Anybody stand out as like, man, that this name alone, people will crush us for not picking?
Taking Isaiah Bond out of it for the discussion that we already had, I would say the only other one that I could come up with is Gadsden, just because they like speed. He fits the Dolphins so well that I could see people being like, hey, he's actually my tight end 4 or whatever. But besides that, I don't think any other wide receiver, maybe Restrepo. I know there's some talk about him out there. He's not a guy that I like, but that's really about it. And that's who we're talking about.
I mean, Restrepo on the Bucks, though. I don't think people would use that as a reason to just never pick him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's behind Godwin and Evans.
Yeah. Yeah, this was, I'll leave it at this. This is one of those mocks that with the landing spots, I'm looking at names on the board. I'm sitting here going, man, I'm shocked. Every mock we've done, we've drafted Trevor Etienne. At many, many mocks that we've taken, we've drafted guys like Taj Brooks. So, I mean, the fact that they didn't get picked kind of is the reality of what this class could be. Like, I still want them because they're RBs on a 53, but I'm looking at like, man, there's 7th round draft capital, and Trevor Etienne went to the Seahawks. He went in round 5, but still, like, that's the pick for me where I'm like, if I had another pick, I would just take him just for the process. I probably should have taken him over Kyle Williams, to be honest, but you're just not inspired. So reality is this could happen where a bunch of teams you don't want to take your favorite round 5 or 6 running back does. And then teams you think should have taken one, they don't take one at all. And you're just left wondering like, okay, this depth chart's awful. And then you have a guy like Etienne that's buried on the Seahawks and he's never going to play. And it just ruins really the only strength of this class, which is the running backs. So good mock, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody in the comments that was here the entire time. Some great comments, some great debate back and forth. Leave more on the video. I'll connect with all the other creators on here. Check out all the other content on the channel and make sure you like and subscribe. ddfantasyfootball.com. You can tap into the community if you want to join. There's a 50% off for the first month coupon code in the description, and have your alerts on for all the content that'll be coming up here in the next couple weeks for the live draft coverage starting Thursday afternoon, going all the way until Monday morning with Wake Up with Ray and Jay. So thank you for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody, and enjoy your weekend. Thanks.